Well, it's still very early days, I would think. I would say it's only been about a year that we have learned of the advent of artificial intelligence through the use of text to image. So I think the big effects are still to come within the industry, but it's already pretty clear that AI is here to stay. Within the field of concept art. There's no way around it. It's not something that can be put back into the box. We have to learn to live with it. We have to learn to work with it. The technology is, I think, still in its infancy. It will grow, it will get better. My name is Denyholten. I'm originally from the Netherlands, and for the past 25 years or so I've held a number of roles in the visual effects industry for film, television, and video games. I have led teams of artists responsible for designing and building the digital environments for Hollywood productions such as Gravity, The Jungle Book, and The Lion King. Most recently, I've been working as a principal concept illustrator for some of gaming's biggest titles. Concept art is a very broad term that it kind of encompasses a variety of various forms of visual communication. It is used by designers to explore, evolve, and finalize designs that help clients better understand the value of their ideas. There are so many different types of concept art, but mainly within films and the games industry. The concept art is used, for instance, as sketches, as well as 3D modeling. Concept art can be done also on a more higher refined level, such as photorealistic illustrations, or something more specific, such as mood boards. As I mentioned, concept art is used by designers to help clients understand their ideas, and that's vitally important because a lot of creative decisions have to be made or can be made before committing expensive builds such as set builds or product design. So it is extremely important for clients to know that they have the right idea, that they have something that is worth investing in for the remainder of the project. So it is vitally important that before a big team of production artists is brought on board, that we have the right idea, especially in a medium such as so diverse and so inspiring as film and games. There's so many possibilities of what can be done that we need to find out first. In a budget-friendly way, what do we build? What do we make? So we can take an idea that a client has and explore that with just a handful of artists that can iterate very, very quickly through ideas in a very visual way, literally through concept sketches that are very quickly done, or as I mentioned before, making 3D models, quick 3D models, or other forms of illustration. The client can then look at these illustrations and decide, okay, well, what actually works on paper, on screen? What do I like? The client then often makes a selection, and the artist can then iterate further upon that, and then work closer and closer to the final idea that the client truly feels happy with, and to proceed onto the next stage of production. Case studies and examples. To be honest, it happens pretty much on every game nowadays, on every movie nowadays. So I can give you an example of what happened on some of the projects that I've worked on. For instance, The Jungle Book. The remake of The Jungle Book in 2016 was a very ambitious project where the human actor was the only real element in the movie. Everything else was to be done digitally through the medium of CG. Every set piece, every animal character was going to be CG. Now, there's a lot of work. Everything has to be designed and modeled and textured and lit and rendered and composited. So it requires a huge team of artists, each very good in their own discipline. So before you bring a huge team like that on board, you have a set of artists who actually think about the client's ideas, often in a form of a script. Well, what is that actually going to look like? What does it actually look like on screen? What does a jungle where a talking bear interacts with a human boy, what does that actually look like? So these artists, these concept artists, they will sit down with the director often, discuss the idea, and start sketching, start drawing, often done very, very quickly, several illustrations within a day. And on the case of the Jungle Book, these were done not just for the characters, but also for the set designs. So it can be very exploratory, where we try a variety of different camera angles, lighting directions, moods, where the client can then give feedback on. And once after sometimes a few iterations, but sometimes after many iterations, we end up deciding on a set design, which then can get passed on to the other teams, such as the modelers, the set builders, if you will, to use as a guide. Well, it's still very early days, I would think. I would say it's only been about a year that we have learned of the advent of artificial intelligence through the use of text to image. So I think the big effects are still to come within the industry, but it's already pretty clear that AI is here to stay within the field of concept art. There's no way around it. It's not something that can be put back into the box. We have to learn to live with it. We have to learn to work with it. The technology is, I think, still in its infancy. It will grow, it will get better, and clients will be tempted to either use this technology themselves or expect their client, the studios that they hire to make use of this. Not just to speed things up and cut the budget, but also to see if interesting ideas can be generated with the help of AI. I think it's something that we need to be very aware of, that this is something that will only become a more powerful force within the field of concept illustration. So I think it's up to each individual artist to decide whether or not they want to be part of that. For the sake of their career, I would certainly advise that it's something that they need to be at least aware of and stay up to date with the latest trends in the modern technology of AI, to see how it can use and help their work within the field of concept illustration. Even if you don't agree with the moral dilemma that surrounds AI technology, even if you don't agree with that, I think it's incredibly important to be aware of the challenges, but also the opportunities that AI can and will bring to concept illustration. So I would say, don't stick your head into the sand because you don't agree with it. At least be aware, at the very minimum, be aware of the latest trends and technological developments in AI as how they pertain to concept illustration. Try to be informed. Play around with some of these tools, see what they can do for you. Concept art certainly isn't always about have high moral standards. It's in a way, it's a job, right? We have to think about it in this sense, certainly within the commercial sector of concept art. We need to be sure that we, as artists, remain competitive in a world where certainly there are going to be job losses due to this technology. So be aware of what is happening out there, what other artists are doing with it, and decide if you want to be a part of that or not. Strictly limited to concept illustration would be to, certainly as an artist, always our goal is to try and get better at our craft, right? Try to become better painters, try to become better and more efficient at our jobs. But I think now, certainly with AI, it's the extra goal that we have certainly should be how to figure out how can we deal with AI, not just the traditional sense, but also how it can help us break new ground. For instance, one goal I have is to see how I can use AI within my professional work, certainly, to iterate ideas faster. how I can unify my traditional skills with something that AI brings to the table. Certainly to come up with something that I'm personally proud of making, and certainly not 100% relying on AI to do the work for me. So what I hope to achieve in the future is to find a hybrid working method for my professional concept illustration work.